Yes, yo chicken bros, what's up? It's your boy Smile here coming at you with a brand new video. And today I brought on a very special guest. Thank you for your time, Mr. Jason Ross.
Yeah, it's great to be here and looking forward to talking about the news today.
So before we really get into this, I want to go ahead and let you get out who you are, what you do, and a bit of perspective on what you're here today for, so that way the audience gets that well understanding.
Okay, so I'm, so my name is, as you said, is Jason Ross. I run a company called Radiant Freedom Digital Marketing, where I provide people with online marketing support and services. So that's kind of what I'm here for, is to talk about, the marketing and business side of, the current news that's going on around, Twitter and Elon Musk. And sort of give you an idea of how that's going to affect you as a consumer, as a user of Twitter, and as a small business owner.
All right, so we'll have a moment later on in video talking about his company and what you can do to contact him. So if you have any interest, stay tuned and let's get into it. So Jason, my first question for you, is it possible at all in Elon's current Twitter marketplace to have small company voices be heard through advertising or any other means? Is that any kind of possibility?
Well, I would say for that, first thing you want to take a look at are the numbers. And so I'll just turn on a quick screen share. And Elon Musk actually has this interesting post here. So first of all, he's talking about that he's actually is starting to recruit. But these numbers here, this one here telling us that there's actually new users signing up to Twitter at a rapidly increasing rate. And in terms of user active minutes, it's actually been on a rapid increase lately. And we switch over to the next page on this. We can also see number of daily active users is on the rise from July 3rd of this year through till November 20th. Now, also, of course, businesses might be concerned about all the news reports about hate speech on Twitter. Well, according to this graph, there was a couple of brief spikes in hate speech. First one is kind of halfway through, and then here, say maybe around spring of this year, and then the second one was probably around October, about around the time that Musk took over. I do remember in the news there was a spate of people saying racial slurs and stuff on Twitter, but they were quickly moderated. And as you can see, the number has gone back down to at or below the pre-Musk numbers. Impersonations was another issue that hit the news recently. And yes, there was these three spikes. Here, the biggest one being this one here. But, then they adjusted to, those impersonation issues, and that's actually gone back down to, towards the levels it was at prior to the rollout of that new Twitter Blue.
Okay.
And so in addition to that, of course, Twitter's also talking about in Twitter 2.0, adding in, better advertising, better video features, encrypted DMs, which as a business owner or a personal user, can be huge, because currently if you want to do encrypted, you have to get a separate app like Telegram or others like that. I think Signal is another one people use a lot as well to get your end-to-end encryption. And that's important if you're sharing sensitive information that you don't want to risk leaking. Encryption is a great way of helping to protect that. Say you're a business who's discussing trade secrets or marketing with your team, you don't want that leaking. So long-form tweets. yeah, exactly. And long-form tweets, and also the ability for your business to get verified. Plus, he's also talking about adding in payment processing, and as someone who's in the area of marketing, has to deal with payment processing when I'm setting up e-commerce and things like that on websites. Having more selection out there is a good thing, because that means that each individual payment processor has less power, and therefore they are motivated to have to provide better quality service in order to retain their customers.
That is a very interesting take, in my opinion. I do have to ask though, because I know you have a lot more experience with LinkedIn. Is anything in your mind that maybe I should move over to Twitter a bit more rather than just stick around LinkedIn? Is that crossing your mind at all?
I would say, I used to actually, have a Twitter account for my business up until about 2018, 2019. Then I just stopped using it because around that time, I stopped getting any interactions on my tweets. So eventually, after about a couple of months of that, I realized, okay, I'm wasting my time doing this. So focus on LinkedIn because that's where I'm still getting responses and interactions when I'm active on there. So with changes like freeing up speech, and that can actually help with improving discoverability. And that's the main reason why I go onto a site like LinkedIn or Twitter or YouTube as a business owner. It's for discoverability, so that I could put content out there that's going to help people in some way. They'll see it, get helped by it, and then want to reach out to the person who put that content out there to get even more help. Now, if I'm putting the content out there and nobody's seeing it, and I'm having to spend more time marketing my social media site to get people to see it than I am marketing my actual business, and that kind of defeats the purpose of using the social media, because I'm not getting discovered then. And that's going to be the same thing going on for other small business owners.
Yeah, obviously we're here for the small businesses, and we want to know, is it really going to be that the discoverability would be the main factor here, I presume is what you're getting at, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, both through content and through advertising. And that's kind of one of the things that I like about the whole Twitter 2.0 thing there, is with the ability to get long form video, long form tweets, payment processing, all that stuff kind of rolls things into a single app where you have the potential for increased discoverability. Now, the main thing would be is, how is the algorithm and the feeds going to work in Twitter 2.0? Is it going to still be having, the million plus subscriber or follower accounts get all the attention? If you're a new business that's just starting out and you have maybe 100, 1,000 followers, that you just get buried by the algorithm? Or is it somewhere you can put a tweet out there, and if it starts getting some engagement, it'll snowball, and you'll be able to actually get it in front of people? So that's going to be, I think, the telling question.
Yeah. And
that's really only time will tell, as more of Elon Musk's engineering goes into the code of Twitter, the algorithm, and how people see and interact with content on Twitter.
Okay, well, the second question, more of a follow-up, I suppose, would be, Elon Musk seems to not realize that the small businesses are even a factor here. I mean, he's going over to the bigger companies and saying, hey, why aren't you coming over here and advertising on me? Could the funding work from only small businesses? Is that viable? And if so, should he make or upgrade an existing advertising system where you can go in and say, hey, I want to advertise for this long, and I'll pay this much for it. And then boom, they got it all set. I'm thinking a bit of like the TikTok advertising here, because despite my dislike of TikTok, I do use it because that's where the people are.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say definitely looking at, with the number of impressions going up, it becomes more appealing to advertisers regardless of size. As far as small businesses specifically, that's actually one of the things about the internet, is it's kind of been a great equalizer for small business marketing, because traditional marketing has always been a very expensive game that you have to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, or even millions of dollars, in order for it to really have any real impact. Essentially locking small business out of being able to market and advertise their business, their services, their solutions. With services like LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, what that unlocks is the ability to do small spend ads where you spend maybe a few $100s a month. And there's a large numbers of small businesses. There's like millions upon millions of them out there. And you get, say, 1 million small businesses each spending $300, $400, $500 a month. That's, that can easily be, $300, $400, $500 million a month from small business advertising. As far as Musk chasing the big businesses personally, I can understand why, because Musk is a multi-billionaire himself. His net worth is something like $300 billion right now. And so his personal time is best spent chasing the big spenders, like companies like Apple, Coca-Cola, Ford Motor Company, and companies like that can afford to spend tens of millions of dollars a month. Because obviously for the time you put into it, getting one contract that's worth millions a month is going to be a lot more bigger impact for Musk on his personal time than chasing after 1,000 small businesses that will each contribute a few thousand a month and collectively eventually reach that millions a month. That's what Musk has. That's what the purpose of Musk having a sales team at Twitter is for them to chase the smaller businesses and the smaller accounts. Plus, setting up automation is another way that can work. So they sign up for their ad through an online system. Moderation approves it, then their ad goes live, and they pay as they get impressions or clicks. And in an ideal world, the small business finds new customers, and those customers are finding a solution to a problem they were having, and Twitter makes money off of the ad spend of those businesses.
Yeah. I really do think that could work well for small businesses. I guess I was kind of asking you because, you got the expert and all the background. Now, to follow up on your thing with the big businesses, sure, he could get the multi-million right now from the big companies. But if he could do like what I suppose I'm doing and play the long game, which he doesn't have the time or money to do at the moment, I'm aware. But if he could, in a perfect world, and he built up all those small businesses, would he not have big companies that are on his side now because he helped them grow? And would that be something that he should pursue?
Well, I definitely think there would be benefits to doing that, because that's one thing about the social media platforms is there is definitely a shortage of information that's useful and effective for small businesses and resources for smaller businesses and advertisers to be able to advertise in a way that's going to be effective for them. Because the type of advertising that, say, a Coca-Cola can do that'll work for them versus the type of advertising that your mom and pop shop down the street needs to be able to do in order to actually get a benefit from their advertising are two completely different things. So a big brand, they can afford to do brand awareness advertising, just flood the airways with their ads so that they're just everywhere and people just so if you're thinking of getting a beverage, Coca-Cola is on the top of your mind, so naturally when you see a row of cans of pops, you're going to pick up a Coca-Cola. Whereas the small cottage brand that's made by some small local company isn't going to get that benefit. However, if you do what's called a conversion benefits type advertising, where you pick a key problem that's bothering a lot of people, like maybe you're making your pop is all natural, then you focus your ads around that. Now you need to get people that are thinking, well, I want to have a can of pop, but I don't want all the chemicals, so I'll get these guys instead. Because you've given them a core benefit as to why they should get yours as opposed to someone else's. Now, helping businesses be able to learn how to advertise like that on a platform like Twitter, Musk could give his platform a huge competitive edge over the other platforms and leave them having to scramble to figure out how to do this, incorporate this into their advertising.
Now, I guess a unrelated but very important question about Elon in the current day: is it worth buying right now anyway? due to Apple coming and saying, we're going to boot Twitter off of our platforms. Sure, you still got Android, but how many Apple users are there? Is that going to conflict? And I'm fully aware Elon said he'd make a phone of his own, although I'm not even aware at all the complexities that go into that and how long that would take. Looking at the right now, assuming that Apple will cut ties with Twitter completely, do you think it would still be worth it?
Yeah, there's actually with regards to, there's actually this story here by Yahoo Finance talking about that. And they actually in the story bring up some issues here. I mean, the risk there is Apple does control close to 50% of the market share, with the other 50% basically being a mix of various Android devices. So this article though goes on to mention here is that Musk is also shining a light on what Apple could lose if it decides on how Apple is moderating on its App Store, because people could see that there and realize that first of all, Apple is charging 30% fee on access to the internet through their App Store. Second is there's moderation issues which can lead to Apple getting into problems with antitrust lawsuits, antitrust action from the government that they're at risk of being exposed to if they get these issues too public. And Twitter is a huge app. It's one of the big 5 social media and big tech platforms right now. So you take one of the top 5 social apps off right at a time when it's in its biggest growth phase right now, and that'll get a lot of people noticing it. So a couple of effects Apple would be at risk of by doing that. One is they could easily lose a few percentage point of market share to the various Android manufacturers out there, which is something that Apple can ill afford to have that happen right now. Second, as I mentioned, the antitrust legal issues they could get into, which could completely nuke their whole business model. So, I think that is a risk, but I think there's also a lot of reasons why Apple wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah. And the final question I really want to get into is honestly really culture war-like. So I'm fully aware that politics are divided, especially in the Americas. We have the left wing, the right wing constantly going at each other. I'm seeing a possible stream, or a timeline, if you will, where Elon kind of creates a alternate market through things like Bitcoin, which I won't even get into now, but point being, could small businesses coming to Elon eventually become the alternate market that I hear so much about? The market that will be, quote unquote, the free world market.
That's definitely a very politically charged question, and I would say the best thing I could say to that is I always make it my policy to never mix business with politics. Because that's where a lot of the biggest blunders in business that you've seen over the recent 5 or 6 years have been when a business tries to mix politics with their business, and always one side or the other in this political landscape will go after the business for picking sides. So what I always try to do with my business is be what you call the fence sitter, that's going to be like, okay, I'm going to stay out of the conflict zone and be here to be that neutral party that's just there to help everyone do what they're wanting to do and succeed at it.
Well, yes.
And I think with that being said, though, one of the things I see with what Twitter's trying to do is it's going to create additional options in the marketplace. So if there's a situation where you're having an issue where you are struggling to do business with a particular platform or service provider, having more options means there's more places for you to go. If, let's say, PayPal decides, I don't want to do business with you, well, then you can go to, say, if Twitter has a payment processing, then you could go to, Twitter's payment processing and remain in business. So it gives you alternatives. And vice versa is also true. Let's say Twitter decide to ban you. Well, you can always go to PayPal or Stripe or someone else, so you have options.
Okay. Well, I do want to thank you for your time. It has been a pleasure to kind of get your opinions on things, get your information. I hope that the audience was as well informed as I was. Is there any business pitches you want to make here? Let people know what you do, and then how to contact you if they're interested in your services.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just bring up my LinkedIn here. Is the best way to get in touch with me is on LinkedIn. So you can look me up there. Mr. Smile. I'm sure you'll put my LinkedIn profile in the description.
Most definitely.
Below. And so the core thing that I help businesses with is I like to start with what I call a free website, my complimentary website conversion report, where what I'll do is take a look at your website, analyze it for how well it's set up to convert, and then I'll, along 5 key metrics, then what I'll do is present that to you one-on-one on Zoom and go over what the main issues I found are and what my recommended solutions are. And I never pitch anyone during those calls. It's just all about providing you with value.
Well, thank you for your time. Don't forget to check them out on LinkedIn. Tell them Smile sent you. This is a completely 100% Smile approved company. I've spent plenty of time with this guy. He is a good and close friend of mine, actually. So please do send him some support if you can. And I will be seeing you guys in my next video. I know I've not been doing many. It's been pretty difficult with the new situation I got, which I'll explain in a community post somewhere. But with all that being said, Yo Man Smile is over and out. Peace.